Oh, Fair West Work 7-Eleven. Started off kind of, it's an interesting day. Woke up, poked around the house in a slow way, which was great. And then got a unexpected call about a stakeholders group that's being formed by the state to help get community engagement and participation with Stantec, that's doing the state fairground project over the next roughly 9 months. Sounds like they'll meet at least once every 2 weeks. Things are moving along, or will be moving along, at a pretty fast clip. Lots of things changing. Do I want to participate, or have some other people in the neighborhood who might want to? Interesting. Emails are shooting around, phone calls have been made, conversations will be had. Uh, Brings up a number of different thoughts about, well, what do I want to see as part of the conversation with regards to Fairgrounds redevelopment. Um, if they're intent on doing housing, which it seems like is a real possibility, or if that's a front runner, I think asking about like what's it look like in terms of, are there opportunities for people to build equity? Are there opportunities for people who are really just short-term renting style? Is it going to be like some studios, some condos, some bigger condos or bigger places for families, supportive housing there? Is it to that degree that we'll see like the full spectrum available? It's kind of like walkable neighborhood ideal. Are they thinking schools, infrastructure wise, libraries, things like that? Is that on the table? Will that be done now, or are they going to say like you know, what would that look like? This feels like Sim City. That's pretty interesting. Um, let's not have a gated community, probably, right? you know, uh, knock some holes in those walls, make it so that the fairground, if it does get turned into that sort of thing, is not just this opaque black box that it currently kind of feels like. And instead, if I want to bike over to La Mesa, I can go through the new fairground area, and maybe San Pedro in Louisiana can be chilled the fuck out because they're kind of highways ripping through town right now. Um, I probably shouldn't curse in those meetings. Anyway, went to the park, took the dog, stopped thinking about the fairgrounds for a minute, met some new neighbors, had the dogs play, and then also chatted with some people, just kind of like hanging out in the park. Don't really have anywhere else to go. Did some outreach in that kind of way, which leads pretty well into the next location, off to the Compassion Center. Drove over today and took the little doggy. A lot of big dogs there. He does pretty well, but he gets a little feisty at times. Had some good conversations about real world um, experience with getting IDs from like a state issued ID replaced. Heard about healthcare for the homeless being a really good option. Didn't cost anything. Got a lot done on one day. You need to have a mailing address. Just kind of like try to figure out the questions that people often bring up as obstacles when I'm chatting with them out and about. Like, hey, do you have an ID? A lot of people don't. So I'm a little better educated, I think, now on hearing from some firsthand experience. Um, one of the routes not being that onerous. And then upcoming on Monday, I should have an opportunity to check out State of the Heart, to try and get meet up with somebody who's trying to get an ID renewed there. So, we'll see. I hope it goes well for so many reasons. Hung out there for a bit, talked to the pastor about my interest in trying to create an outreach center slash shelter slash something inspired by the Compassion Center. She's pretty encouraging and open about um, sharing information. Also talked to James, who works there. Uh, really, really smart guy. So thankful that both of them are so open, and all the people there who are chatting with me. It's a good place. Check it out if you're interested. It's over on Mesilla and Trumbull. They also have a cool traffic circle there. It's like you just got to go see it. It's cool. Um, let's see. Went to the Fair West Work office. Moved some stuff around. I got my computer set up. Got a separate table with a printer. Need to get a slightly better chair. I got a whole list of things to be added there, but it's coming along. So 120 Madeira, it's that'll be a place, a useful location in the not too distant future. Then later in the evening, off to South San Pedro, the I don't know, parking pad slash block party at Tanya's place. Great to see people there, and always you never know what you're gonna get, but there was some good conversation about how the state may be able to or need to react to changes from the new federal bill that passed, having an effect on Medicaid requirements as well as compensation or funding from the federal government. There's our local House of Representatives has a employee who comes to these block parties, and so he talked about that for a bit. It was really kind of reassuring to hear, but also sobering in some ways for sure. But useful information. Chatted with a bunch of other neighbors from that neck of the woods, south of Central, so not technically my neighborhood. Oh, and the D6 Coalition VP Sandra, she was talking about a lot of her recent outreach work and going through the streets with, I think she's the co-president of South San Pedro, I don't know the right term, with Natalie, going into different smoke shops in the area, just kind of some of the small businesses and businesses that might not otherwise get many visits from the neighborhood associations. Talking to them, trying to understand them, keeping eyes on parks and alleys, and just doing a tremendous amount of investigation. She's got a lot of energy. That's cool. I wrapped up there, and then off to the park with the doggy for a little bit to get him some exercise, and then came back home and thought a little bit more about what to, in a grant proposal that is available to support small and medium businesses with opioid settlement money that Bernalillo County is managing, what to in particular ask for. So aside from trying to just get essentially some salary to pay for my time and doing a lot of the things I've been doing for a while, how do I describe that is what I'm doing, and in such a way that some money will come through, or that people will think that is important. Okay, yes, good. That's work. That's important work. So what do we call this? Maybe street. It's outreach to a lot of times people dealing with isolation. Sometimes that means they're in the street. Sometimes that means they're in houses in the neighborhood or apartments. And it doesn't have to mean that they have no connection, but the isolation is having bad effects, ill effects. Or is just, and sometimes that's I'm getting a little rambly. Sometimes that's seen in substance abuse. Sometimes that's seen in poor socialization skills. But it always has a big impact. It just manifests in a few different ways. So it's a little, what would this look like in a proposal, training people to know more about local resources. What does a local resource mean? Certainly knowing about health clinics, that's something. The nonprofits that exist in the area, what they do, sort of like what the vibe is in there, so that when talking to people, whether it's on the street or in the house or just out inside of a house or like out and about, like if you see uh, someone who could take advantage of a local resource, like make that connection. Try and find a way to weave that into the conversation. And it can be it's an art, if you will. And so I don't have the answers because it's an art. There are no defined answers, but I think it's arguably a skill that can be honed. Um, so trying to get a local effort of maybe 3 or 4 of us trained up, working together, coordinating, and doing outreach with sometimes people who are isolated in homes, in apartments, sometimes on the streets, um, making connections, forming relationships, building trust, exchanging phone numbers, having support groups formed to discuss kind of like these different domains that are there, um, that are out there. What do I mean by different domains? It's too vague. Elder care in some cases, that is sometimes overlaps with being homeless, sometimes doesn't. Substance abuse, same thing. Sometimes overlaps with elder care, sometimes doesn't. Sometimes overlaps with homelessness, sometimes doesn't. Um, Struggling with mental illness or mental health, I think, is the way I would really describe it. Struggling with feeling good about yourself. Just trying to get some people to talk and engage on these kind of like mobile support groups and workshops to discuss, how do you go do this? How do you do this safely? How do you do this respectfully? Have discussions about it instead of sort of like preaching about it, because there's going to be a lot of different takes on it. Have some. I'll be doing this. I currently do this type of work. I'll continue to do it, and I'd like to be able to offer like walk along opportunities. Sometimes with, at first maybe with some of the team that is also paid to go do this throughout the neighborhood. And when I say throughout the neighborhood, I also mean, it can extend beyond, but being not in a car, either on a bike or walking, or, you could be in a car, but, and so that might be part of it. You might have a slightly further reach someone, but like, I think there's also a lot of value, and I would hope that the majority of the team would be mostly, essentially on foot. Moped, just something so that there's minimal overhead, to just stop and engage. But that's not always pertinent, especially with people. That's more of the on the unhoused side of things. If someone is housed, I'm not trying to say don't drive. Mateo, you have a little cut on your ear. Anyway, end of that ramble. It's still have to come together. How do I demonstrate effectiveness? Thought about this. What kind of metrics, things like that. I don't want to collect like, oh, how many people did you talk to? Who fucking cares? It's not that important. What's the quality of those interactions? And also, like, what's the effect you're trying to create? So I thought, how about interviewing neighbors? So in the beginning, at the start of, let's say, a 6-month project, dedicating a week to canvassing a lot of the neighborhood. Really just going up and down, picking from neighbors who I already know, and doing some surveys with them, trying to get some numbers, because we do love numbers, of like what do you currently feel? Do you feel like it's safe during the day, in the morning, during the day, at night? Um, on a scale of like 1 to 10, how safe do you feel like the neighborhood is now? On a scale of 1 to 10, like 10 being the highest, how much hope do you have for the future of the neighborhood and in like increasing in safety and being a place that you want to live in? And then do that in person, both with um, the homes, the apartments, and some businesses. Also have a system so that as we're doing this, we give them a little card and we say like, all right, you're like, you can go to this place, or maybe we sign them up for a thing, and in like 3 months they get an email with like a follow-up survey, and then at the end we spend another week just trying to do a finishing survey of the same questions, see if we made improvements there. um, I don't love that whole data side of things, but I'm sure we need it to get that sweet, sweet moolah. So, yeah, that could be interesting. And it'll kind of isolate the data collection burden to just a couple of times. And then it'll leave the vast majority of the time for the actual meaningful work, or the work that I care about. It's all meaningful. Meaning, what an illusion. Fair West work day over.